Everyone, welcome back. We're on episode 10 here, and we're with Kate Galli. Kate is a personal trainer. She's a vegan health coach, founder of Healthification, and she's helping folks build a, fit, strong, healthier lifestyle and also is working on some other projects. So, Kate, thank you so much for being with us today, and we would love an introduction. Share a little more about yourself if you don't mind.
Amazing. Joey, Max, Tim, thank you so much for having me. As you said, I'm a vegan health coach, author, and podcaster. And my heart is working with busy professionals and helping them prioritize their health and happiness to thrive with plants. Do you know the happiness is a new part of that, I think. And I think this is why perhaps my approach is so aligned with the community here. I was a personal trainer for a couple of decades and I was all about the fit, strong, healthy body. And when I became vegan 9 years ago, I believed the best way to advocate for the animals, because that was why I became vegan, was to rock around in this fit, strong, healthy body. And I still think that's really powerful. However, more and more, I am focusing on happiness, on joy, on leading with love, compassion, and deliciousness. I used to be an angry vegan. Perhaps we'll get to that point. But I've just found with my goal, with helping to welcome people into the lifestyle, just leading with love and compassion and happiness is so much more effective. It's more sustainable, and absolutely, it's more fun for me as well.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, I think it starts with fitness, but it's just surface level because we're multifaceted beings. So we have to go, body's super important, but we have to go deeper. And so when it comes to your journey with veganism, with fitness, with nutrition, how has all of this kind of impacted your mental health, your general state of mind on a day to day?
Oh, so that's a huge one. To take you way back, I was that little girl who loved animals and ate animals until I didn't. I became vegetarian for the animals at 16, and I didn't get it right at first. It was all about what I was cutting out of my diet, not the abundance in food that I was welcoming into my diet. Fast track to when I became a personal trainer, as I said, almost 2 decades ago, and I got healthier so far as my approach to nutrition. I guess I kind of had to. And as a vegetarian personal trainer, I didn't really lead with it. Many of our listeners may relate to the angry vegan. We're always advocating, we're always flying our little vegan flag. It can be pretty unattractive. That wasn't me as a vegetarian. And however, when I became vegan just over 9 years ago, again, I'd been vegetarian as a trainer for a decade by that point in time. I had that fit, strong body that I'd worked towards for a couple of decades. I watched the documentary Cowspiracy. I realized if I was vegetarian for the animals, actually, I needed to be vegan for the animals, and I made that switch overnight. I rocked into the gym that I was working out of, and I was already the weird one for being that vegetarian chick. And I announced I'm going vegan. And I remember one of the boys, he said, well, goodbye lean muscle mass then. And, that was his belief. And I had some hesitation as well from a health point of view. I was wrong. He was wrong. To bring it to mental health, your actual question, when I became vegan, it wasn't good for my mental health because I'd had this huge, I guess, awakening. As I said, I was in it for the animals. I'd realized all this unnecessary cruelty and exploitation that I had still been contributing to as a vegetarian. I ate up to 21 free range organic egg whites a day, and so I was still perpetuating this cycle unknowingly that I didn't want to be part of. I was really angry that I'd been lied to. And I was really sad and frustrated when I shared what I had learnt with other kind, compassionate people that I was close to. They didn't make the same change that I made. So, and I now know, we're all on our own journey. We all have our own map of the world, so to speak. So, our own values, beliefs, goals, priorities, life experiences, and more so what we make that all mean. We're all at a different place, right? However, I was just angry and frustrated and sad 24/7. I focused on the differences between me and everyone else that I loved. You know, my clients, my colleagues, my friends, my family members, all I saw was the differences and the cruelty. And I can tell you guys, it was not effective at all. I wasn't creating vegans and I was almost losing friends. It was really, really, really tough.
Yeah, it's got to be a huge transition. I can't imagine, just that, like you said, the social impact itself of just telling everybody their reactions. Um, I'm sure that had to come at a cost, but it sounds like you've brought it around the bend, and I'm sure things are a lot more sustainable now.
Well, let me tell you that story because it is super powerful. And please feel free to interrupt me wherever you want to. But I don't know if I would have switched out of the angry vegan state all on my own. What it actually took was the hardest time in my life ever, times about a billion. And to take you back, I'd been. Let's go back to a family Christmas, right? Christmas is all about love and kindness and celebration, and it's all about food for my family. And so, I guess about 6, 7 years ago, I'd been vegan a couple of years. I was an animal rights activist. It was my life. My dear mum rang me and she said, Katie, I don't know what to do about Christmas. You're this vegan, this animal rights activist. Your father's anti vegan. Our Christmas is all about the food. I don't know how we're going to handle it unless you mastermind a vegan feast and sell the family on it. And I was like, amazing. I am so down for the vegan feast. Maybe you could mastermind like sell the family on it. And anyway, that was Christmas, whatever it was, 7 years ago. I cooked 6 new recipes. I did a heap of work. They were all delicious. My mum was so impressed with the work that I'd gone to. And when I was about to fly home to Sydney, where I then lived back then, she said, Katie, will you watch What the Health with me? And now that was a documentary I'd been emotionally blackmailing my parents to try and get them to watch ever since I turned vegan. And disclaimer, emotional blackmail does not work. However, after that delicious Christmas, mum wanted to watch it. She watched it. She'd been a nurse for 30 years. Our broken healthcare system all around the world really resonated with her rather than broken sick care system rather than more of a preventative health system. And she said, let me try this plant-based thing for 2 weeks. Fast forward, mum had been plant based, increasingly vegan for years, a couple of years. It brought us so much closer. And what snapped me out of angry vegan, because, mum and I were in this together. It wasn't amazing for her relationship with dad, who continued to be the anti vegan and really resented me for introducing my mum to this lifestyle. 3.5 years ago, I got the phone call from my father that I always thought I'd get from my mother, because my mum was the most warm, generous, loving, healthy in body and in mind person. And my father's not so much that in the way he treats his body or the way he thinks. And I always thought I'd get the phone call, Katie, it's your dad. And I got the phone call, Kate, it's your mother. And I'd spoken to my mum that morning at 7 a.m. on a Sunday as I walked along the beaches in Sydney, and she was totally A-OK, 100% fine. And by 3 p.m. that day, she'd gone. She'd died suddenly. And that was the phone call I was getting from dad. And anyone who's listening who has lost the most important person in your life, which mum was to me, the shock and grief and horror of that, it didn't happen straight away. However, two components came to be to make me realize I could no longer be an angry vegan. The first one was I was so devastated at the loss of my mum. I genuinely didn't have emotional capacity to carry around all that hate and frustration and anger at non-vegans. I just did not have it in me. And the second one was that I had no regrets with my mum. We knew how much we loved and respected each other. I knew that if that had been my father that died suddenly, I would have had regrets because our relationship wasn't that good. And a lot of that was the frustration and judgment I directed towards him because of his choices. And so gradually, I basically decided to lead with love and compassion and deliciousness to honor my mum And I decided not to be an angry vegan. And it's a decision I make every single day. It doesn't come naturally, but that's my journey now.
Thanks for sharing all that information and just like providing your kind of like your experience with it all. I'm sorry for the loss of your mother. I wanted to ask you a question regarding kind of like this idea of veganism and like it's like this idea of what we consume is like what we are, like our inputs or create the outputs, right? And I feel like it's a much deeper issue when it comes to like I'm not vegan at the moment. I was really thinking about it recently. I didn't even like think too much about what I consume or like I don't think a lot of people do, right? You just go through a whole day working like you'll work hard and then you'll eat like some McDonald's or some crap like that, right? That'll like really impact you in such a negative way. But it kind of relates to this idea of like mindfulness and being intentional of what we are eating and consuming. So I'm wondering like if you could share to people like some strategies you might recommend for people struggling with like f food issues and kind of like what they're consuming, and potentially for people who aren't even like aware too much of the power of nutrition. And if you could explain, like maybe describe the switch in your life when you went from like eating animal products to becoming vegan at I believe you said 16 years old. And
Hmm.
yeah, just all of that would be amazing for you to share. Yeah.
Yeah, vegetarian at 16 and then vegan 23 years later at 39, and that was 9.5 years ago now. I want to touch first on, I guess, the switch that happens in your heart. You know, I became vegan for the animals. That's maybe unusual. Usually it's a more gradual process where someone may be interested for their health, right? And so they make a switch like my mum did for their health. And gradually, as they take animals off their plate, their heart opens more to the plight of the animals that they were previously. Most of us are not aware of it, right? I mean, I was the same until I was 16. I ate meat up to 3 times a day. I loved the taste of it. No one becomes vegan because they hate the taste of animals. That's just not a thing. We do it because our heart opens, and that's why I feel we're so aligned, Max, because you're all about kindness, right? And I'm vegan out of compassion. Um, I've just extended the circle of compassion from, most people love animals. They say they love animals. Most people love their companion animals. And I've just opened my heart to have that same level of love or respect for the animals that we don't share our house with. They feel the same level of pain and fear and love and joy, and I don't want to inflict unnecessary suffering on them. So one of the biggest benefits when I made that lifestyle switch, to backtrack so far as my body looked and functioned, I was fearful I'd gain some fat, heaven forbid, or lose some muscle or lose some strength, and none of that happened. It was only good. I maintained the current level of health that I was looking to maintain. However, this pressure of incongruence was lifted. I believe all humans are generally kind and compassionate. We care about other people and we care about all the individuals, other species that we share this beautiful planet with. However, we have to do some mental gymnastics to continue the cognitive bias, to continue to take the daily actions we take and the consequences those daily eating actions have on animals. We really have to stick our head in the sand and believe some of the lies that are out there surrounding how humane this all is. And once you make that switch, there's this heaviness that maybe you knew was there consciously, or maybe at an unconscious level, that heaviness of incongruence, not being aligned with your values, is lifted. And that was the biggest benefit to me personally. Um, so far as the actual nutrition strategies, was that something you wanted to touch on as well? So far as, tell me where you want me next to go with that component of the big question.
Yeah, thanks for sharing all that. Specifically, I think we are thinking about like I mean if you wanted to talk a bit about like your business and strategies you've helped with clients and people with these issues would be a cool, yeah, cool go.
Amazing. So, as with personal training, as a vegan health coach as well, clients come to you and they want to know all the actions to take, right? They want to know how to eat, how to exercise to get the result that they're seeking. And that's amazing. I've got all of that. That's really fun. The foundation, though, is the mindset work we do up front. That is the foundation that guarantees your future ongoing success. So, first step for me with everyone is clarity. And clarity is where we connect with their goal, obviously, but more so the why, the huge emotional intensity behind that goal that they're looking to achieve. And we also align that with their most important values and beliefs. Because if you've ever tried anything, if someone's listening and they're like, yeah, I tried that vegan thing, or whatever it may be, I tried that meditation thing, I tried being an entrepreneur, whatever it was, if you tried and stopped, you could, it's not failure. You can always try again. However, probably you didn't get locked and loaded on the hugely compelling why behind why you were going to try this thing, right? The why, and you probably didn't align it with those emotional states, your values that you're most drawn to. So that is the foundation, the work that I do up front with my clients. And basically, these are the actions that if you don't do it, it's always going to be straight and discipline related. If you do it, it makes the decision making process, it basically eliminates it. You take the actions aligned with the goal you're looking to achieve because everything is aligned and congruent. So far as the actual nutrition, when we move on to that, I advocate a whole food plant based approach. There's so much vegan junk food out there, and some of that can be great transitional food. However, it's not healthy, it's expensive, that's kind of the treat type stuff you might turn to on occasion. However, our whole food plant based approach is the approach I recommend, built around your plant protein. And obviously, there's a little bit of learning up front. However, I want to dispel the myth that plant protein is hard to find or incomplete. It just takes a little bit of due diligence up front. And I probably made it harder on myself than I used to early days because I was this personal trainer, been a trainer for a decade, had the body I was happy with. I knew all the other trainers and all the clients were watching what this vegan diet was going to do for my health. I didn't want to get it wrong. So I researched all not just the macronutrients, the carbs, proteins, fats, that's easy. The micronutrients, the stuff like your calcium, your iron, your B12, your omega 3s, that might be lacking in a vegan diet if it's not well planned. And so it's just a matter of doing that research once off or working with someone like myself that's done the research and building your meals around these whole plant foods, a diverse, abundant, colorful variety of foods that taste delicious as well. And so there's some of the first steps I take with my clients.
Hey, Kate, I just want to talk about mindset for a second. You mentioned anger. So, what would you say to one of your clients or to the listener if they're struggling with intense anger and how to shift their mindset into a more compassionate, healthier point of view?
Great question. The strategy I walk through with myself is an ABC, and A stands for awareness of the way that you're being in the world right now. How's that going to look for you in 3 months, and 6 months, and 12 months' time if nothing changes? People match your energy, right? And I found this with activism on the street. I could have a conversation with a dairy farmer or whoever it may be. And because I was genuine and curious and had an open heart, 99.9% of the time, they matched that energy with curiosity, and we had an amazing conversation. Tougher with the people you love because you have such a history and you have higher expectations and judgments of each other. But I would say to them, awareness, think of how it's going to look. Think of how it's going to impact your most important relationships if nothing changes. And for me, that was pretty terrifying. Next up, the B is to brainstorm. So I brainstormed the things I needed to stop doing. I actually stopped going to some of those activism events because it just made it so stark, the difference between the vegans I was spending time with and my loved ones. It made it too hard. I stopped sharing horrific footage of animals in slaughterhouses online because to share it, you have to see it. And then you also have to see the comments. I started sharing delicious recipes. I started sharing good news stories like health transformations and happy sanctuary videos and all of that. And the C is the commitment. So you make a commitment to yourself of the person you want to be because you have that awareness and you've brainstormed the actions you need to take. And that is why I'm so verbal about, yeah, I'm still very vocal about I'm vegan. I am still one of those people. However, I also made the commitment to share regularly that I'm no longer an angry vegan, because you better bet, Tim, that if I'm saying I'm that vegan that leads with love and deliciousness, and little angry Kate makes an appearance, because she does from time to time, people are going to call me on that. So it's kind of a form of accountability. So that is what I would suggest to someone who's struggling with anger. And this relates to anything that you are super passionate about. Doesn't just relate to a vegan lifestyle. This can relate to your relationships with loved ones in relation to politics, religion, any of those really fraught subjects that are causing so much pain in our relationships right now. This is an approach that you can take.
Yeah, I love that. It's like changing the world from by changing yourself within first. Yeah. Thank
You
you.
have to. Pleasure.
Yeah, absolutely. No, appreciate you sharing. And talk a bit about the Strong Body Green Planet community you have. You know, you're talking a bit about how you map out kind of the road for your clients, but what's kind of the whole cycle that you bring your clients through in the community?
Amazing. So strongbodygreenplanet.com is my website. I do a lot. Healthification is the podcast, over 900 episodes deep. And then the actual school community is Plant Positive. And so, again, that's aligned with my new, as in the past few years, leading with love, compassion, and deliciousness. It's all about the positivity. It's a community for vegans who want to be healthier and happier, and also people who are plant curious. And I stress any level of plant curious. My learning is that if your heart is open to a more plant-based lifestyle, I am all in on supporting you and getting there. Zero judgment. That doesn't work. And so far as the actual process, either within the community or within my one-on-one coaching, I focus first on that clarity that we mentioned. So clarity on what you're looking to achieve and why, the huge emotional intensity around that, and alignment with your most important values and beliefs. Because if that thing you're looking to achieve, if it feels incongruent with your values and beliefs, so for example, if you want to adopt a vegan lifestyle for your health and your number one value is family, and you have this belief that changing the way that you eat will impact your family negatively because they just love the big steak barbecues on the weekend, that'll be really hard. You don't need to change your goal or your values. You just need to reframe it to potentially, so here are the amazing vegan barbecue options we're going to do instead that will help me be happy and healthy for my family, my kids and grandkids long term. This is the example of kindness and compassion that I want to be with for my family long term. So that's the clarity. Next step is confidence. I help people build confidence in the how they're going to do it, so the actions they're going to take, and also one of my biggest learnings, building confidence in yourself, certainty in you, backing yourself both in this decision and in every decision. And that was the biggest thing that I got out of becoming a personal trainer or joining a gym. You know, almost 3 decades ago now, I joined the gym to transform not just my body, but also my confidence. I was a debilitatingly shy teenager. So confidence is the second part of what I work with with my clients. And consistency is number 3. So consistency with the doing, with those daily actions. And I would also say adding joy into the consistency, because you're not going to stick with something long term if it's like this constant daily struggle of discipline, right? It needs to feel aligned. You need to feel confident in the results. And you need some sort of, be it accountability from your friendly vegan health coach, or accountability and community within the plant positive community. Those are the 3 stages. Basically make this lifestyle feel natural and sustainable and fun. Fun is really important.
Absolutely. Yeah. If it's not, you got to find some kind of joy. You know, it's going to be difficult whenever you're starting something new, but you have to find those moments where you can smile, you can laugh, because that's going to keep you fueled to, get through those hard bouts because they're going to come. And so I know whenever someone's starting, completely new journey, whether it's, nutrition, fitness, veganism, like how do you even start to get your clients or who you're working with to dig deep enough into their why? If you could walk us through that, it'd be awesome.
Yeah. I mean, so very early on, I will literally ask them, what drew you to this lifestyle? There are so many reasons. A lot of people, it's for their health, or it's for the environment, or it is for their animals. But we will dig down on that, and as I said, we will elicit their values. Often people don't think about what their values are until you describe them. Think of those emotional states that you're naturally drawn to. There's no right or wrong. You do need to be honest, so it's not what you would love your values to be, it's what they actually are. Think of how you spend your time, money, and energy. That's going to be a really good indicator of what your actual values are. Think of your identity beliefs as well. Identity beliefs are anything that follows I am, and you will strongly defend them. So, for example, someone might say, I am an amazing father, right? If someone contradicts that, they will defend that very strongly because that is a core part of who they are, right? So, when someone says, I am a compassionate person, and we were to drill down on that, okay, so far as your compassion towards animals, are you compassionate towards animals? Most people love animals, right? However, their daily actions are probably aligned with loving certain animals, not all animals. And so that is something I would drill much more into. And we would just create this alignment between that goal where we've added huge emotional intensity. Any health coach is going to ask you the way that it is right now in relation to that goal. How are you feeling? What is it costing you? What is your day-to-day life like in this, whatever it may be? They're overweight, they have no energy, they don't have a body that they feel, it doesn't feel like their body, they're not confident in their body. Or more recently, people have been coming to me because they love the idea of this vegan or plant-based lifestyle. They found it hard to stick with because their family's not supportive. And, food options are maybe not as easy as they could be and should be and will be. But they feel this incongruency because they're a naturally kind, caring, compassionate person. And at the back of their mind, they know there's something that's not all good with the way that animals are raised and slaughtered. And so that is a weight, the weight I talked about before, the weight of incongruency that they are carrying around with them. And that is exhausting. Anything that you are blocking and you're not fully digging into, you're just carrying around unresolved, that is a massive waste of energy. And there's so much good stuff that we can do with that energy. So that is just some of what I would kind of dig in. It's, my learning is you've got to come from where you've got to meet people where they are, right? And eventually their heart may well open to the plight of animals, but whatever is most compelling to them right now, that is our jumping off board where we dig in. And you see the tone of someone's voice when they're the passion when they're speaking, when you get to that right thing where you need to drill down, and you need to drill down to enough pain or pleasure or emotional intensity that they're going to stick with it down the track when the motivation wears off and those struggle street times hit.
Speaking of energy, like I wanted to touch a bit about like this topic of like a lot of people are feeling like burnt out all the time, like lack of preserving energy. I'm wondering how do you think becoming vegan could switch that? Do you notice like that there's like this big difference in someone's energy after they may switch and become like more like not necessarily fully vegan, but just continue to become more and more vegan? What are your thoughts on that?
Great question. There's two sides to it. So far as just the nutrition, if you go whole food plant-based and you focus on high nutrient value, quality foods and a diverse range of them, your energy very likely is going to go up. Generally, that is going to be a huge benefit to the lifestyle. However, from a mindset point of view, as I shared with my experience, the energy that you might waste being really frustrated at not just the people you love around you who already haven't made the same choices that you have, but and it's hard to understand until you're there, living vegan in a non-vegan world, I know people say that all we do is talk about veganism. I can guarantee 99.9% of the time we're not saying something, we're blocking down that feeling that we've seen this pain and suffering. We're walking through a supermarket, all we see is bodies, right? We imagine the way that that animal died because we've probably looked at videos of it happening. And so that energy that we waste not saying things and not getting frustrated in conversations and being calm and compassionate until you learn to deal with it. And thankfully, there are so many professionals out there who can help you deal with it. One of my favorites is vegan psychologist Claire Mann, who wrote a book called Dystopia, which is the anguish of living vegan in a non-vegan world. And it's basically your heart has been open to all the suffering. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. So purely from a nutritional point of view, your energy is probably going to be amazing. It's going to be only good. From an emotional point of view, you are going to have to learn coping strategies day to day in the world, and particularly in your relationships. So no one easy answer there, I'm afraid.
Kate, we're getting towards the end of the episode, so if there's any topics you'd like to discuss before we wrap, I don't know if you want to talk about nutrition or anything else while we're still here.
I would just say to the person who is overwhelmed by maybe your heart's connecting with some aspect of veganism, maybe, or even just more plant-based, take away the V word if that's too much, because I know, there are angry vegans out there, and I was certainly one of them who have maybe done the movement a bit of a disservice and made it unattractive. But to whatever degree you are interested in exploring this lifestyle, please know there are so many people out there who will welcome you on board. And I'd been a health professional a long time before I approached the lifestyle. And I still, when my energy levels went down at the end of one year, I judged the lifestyle, right? I thought, is there something wrong with the lifestyle because of all the mainstream media and big business, big pharma putting out this information that maybe you can't be happy and healthy as a vegan? I assure you, you 100% can. You just need to seek some support, be kind to your body, give yourself some time. If I had one final message for everyone, it's the lesson I learned when I joined a gym many, many years ago, and that is to back yourself 100%. You don't know what's coming today, tomorrow, next month, or next year. You can't have certainty in circumstances. Often you can't have certainty in other people. You can cultivate a certainty of self and a confidence in you. And part of that is living a life aligned with your values and just taking the daily actions. So that's what I would suggest to any of our listeners. Cultivate a certainty in you. And if you're interested in living a more plant-based lifestyle, I am all in to support you in doing that.
That's great, Kate. On that note, where could our listeners find you? And are there any new initiatives you're working on?
Strong Body Green Planet is my website, and that connects to almost everything. Plant Positive is my journal. It's a daily planner. It's a little vegan Trojan horse that I post all around the world, full of recipes and all the mindset strategies I've learned over the past couple of decades as a personal trainer to implement to live and love a healthy vegan lifestyle. Finally, Plant Positive on School. That's my free community. And, I'm building a warm and welcoming little community right there. There's also one-on-one coaching within the community. And, that's my heart. I care so much about this. And basically that means that, as I said, I'm all in with welcoming anyone into the lifestyle.
Awesome, Kate.
That's
Well,
great.
thank you so much for being here on today's episode. Everyone, please check out Kate, her website, her school community. Comment below what you think and what your thoughts are after getting plugged into Kate's community. And I will see everybody on the next episode. Kate, thanks again so much.
Thanks so much, Joey, gents. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you.